So, dude, as you're doing this work, you're going to have a sense. And the sense is, man, I'm starting to fall in love with myself more and more and more. You start to feel like not only just a deeper love for yourself, for reality, but man, this love is this love is so deep. A few weeks ago, I was in an airport and I was on like a shuttle bus, you know, one of the ones that takes you from the airport to the plane or whatever. And I looked out at the airport and I was like, oh my God, all of this airport is myself. And I love it. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about loving airports, man. This love, it's kind of like a mad love. You fall madly in love with yourself. God is a madman. You know, if you really think about it, man, your petty human love is so finite. And it's incomparable to God's love. When you start feeling God's love, when you start feeling reality, when you start falling madly in love with what is, you kind of feel like a fool. You think, man, have I ever really, really, really loved something, someone? You know? In other words, you intuitively feel the difference between your little human love and like God's love. And you realize that what it means to fall madly in love with yourself is for God, for you as God, to love everything. So here's the thing. Loving everything is quite dangerous. You can't just do that, man, because, in life we have to love certain things, don't we? Because if you love everything, man, you become a yogi, you become a mystic, you become a sage, you become a really enlightened person who doesn't see the difference between things. Now, here's the thing. I would say that it really, really helps to love yourself as a person, as you, first. You got to go to your human self. You got to make sure you're good. You got to give yourself the love. You got to make sure you feel loved by yourself. Only you can really love yourself. Sometimes you might kind of like contemplate, wow, how do I receive love? What is love? How do I get love? And you realize that you can be with someone can literally tell you, I love you. But if you don't receive it, if you don't give it to yourself, you don't get it. So again, as you're falling madly in love with yourself, start to notice, right, I'm the only one who can give it to me. Okay, I'm going to take responsibility for that, and I'm going to really love my person. I'm going to really love my ego. Sometimes it makes me chuckle, man, when I see people like, how do I kill the ego? Dude, you don't want to kill the ego. Like, I know what the person means because I used to think like that. But you want to love the ego to death. That's the truth. And when you do that, you don't love ego with ego. You don't use ego to get rid of ego. That doesn't work. You just love yourself as God. And that includes your ego. And if you don't even resonate with the word God or like super high consciousness stuff or reality, that's cool, man. Slow down. Go to your human self. Fall madly in love with yourself as a person, as an ego. That's great inner work. It just happens to be, if you want to feel unconditional love, real love, powerful love, then you go to higher consciousness. You go to God. And you love yourself in that way, in that divine way. Wow. Man. Sometimes, even today on my morning walk, it makes you feel emotional, man. Because you just feel the oneness. Oh, man. I'd also want to say this, man. Notice the social conditioning that you've received that makes you feel like you can't love yourself almost unreasonably or absolutely or unconditionally. Just notice that, like, that little voice that might say, oh, I don't want to shine too brightly with my self-love right now, because people will notice you're really happy, you're really complete, you've found yourself. The truth is, you've got to drop that social conditioning. Social conditioning, as you become more conscious, becomes less and less real. you start to see it for what it is. So my invitation for you, man, is start to love yourself unreasonably. Love yourself so much that if you were to tell someone how much you love you and what you are, whether that be in the small sense or the big sense, they wouldn't know what to do with that, because that would be a lot to hold for them. You know? And really, you don't even need to tell anyone. You just need to have it for yourself. That's all that counts. And one more thing. What you are, what you really, really are, already loves itself unconditionally. So in a certain sense, you don't really need to do anything. You just need to awaken to that. You need to become that. You need to realize that. Because when you wake up, you're like, oh, it already loves itself. You know, and you are that. So, yeah, man, have fun finding God. Have fun finding yourself. My friend, I love you. Take care. Lots of love, man. And as always, peace.